what does Paul think about Nietzsche's view of Jews? Was it close to anti-Semitism, or is that a misreading?
Yeah, I don't see Nietzsche as any kind of anti-Semite. It's sort of what Luke said before, that, you're not allowed to make, even reasonable judgments about Jews. Nietzsche, of course, was critical of what he thought was the Jewish attempt to manipulate Christian conscience, which, we see all around us now. So, I mean, Nietzsche was, right? I mean, Nietzsche was also critical of Judeo-Christian morality because it emphasized guilt. He didn't like the guilt because he identified this with slave morality. Now, if you look at these things together, I don't think they indicate that he's any kind of significant anti-Semite. Somebody, Schopenhauer, was he anti-Semitic? There's no evidence that Schopenhauer was ever an anti-Semite. But he did not think Jews should be given equal citizenship or equal rights as citizens because he thought they were all loyal to a Jewish country to which they wanted to return. Does this make him an anti-Semite? The answer is no. We can understand at the time when he said this, might understand even now, why people might arrive at that judgment.
What is the greatest accomplishment of secular Jewish humanists? Well, in a de facto sense, any Jew who does not believe in the supernatural and supports a human understanding of pretty much anything and lives by an ethic based upon that would be a secular Jewish humanist. I think that the accomplishments of secular Jews are too much to get into here, but probably without these accomplishments, people would not be able to just sit behind a computer as they are right now and do whatever it is they are doing. But perhaps specifically Cato Gottfried, that definitely ranks high up on the list for me. I don't know about anybody else, but I think that's pretty cool. What does Luke think of the fact that three Jews, Paul Gottfried, Mencius Moldbug, and Murray Rothbard, were major influences on the AR alt-right, that would mean, but it still came to fixate, the alt-right still came to fixate on the, as it is called, JQ?
Well, I think Nathan Kofnas was right in his Kofnas critique that Jews will tend to be disproportionately influential in any intellectual movement that is not overtly anti-Jewish. What do I think about self-hating Jews? A self-hating Jew is someone who puts another value above his loyalty to the tribe. So it's a slur and a put down. But if a Jew puts his commitment to leftist causes or his commitment to right-wing causes above his commitment to his tribe, I guess you could call him a self-hating Jew, but really what's going on is that he has other values that are higher to him than his tribal identity. So I don't like the phrase self-hating Jew. I wanted to tell a very brief story. There was a famous Holocaust survivor in Israel who was persecuted by dreams of the Holocaust every night, and he heard that there was a cure by a psychiatrist in Holland in the 1960s. So he went to Holland, he took the LSD cure, and after he took LSD, he saw that in some circumstances he would indeed be a Holocaust camp victim, but in other circumstances he would be the Holocaust camp god. And I think that's true for everybody. In some circumstances, we are gods. In other circumstances, we are victims. There is no people that is marked out ineluctably by the will of heaven to always be righteous or to always be the victim. Whether we're camps or whether we're gods or victims depends on circumstance, and circumstance is largely out of our control. And then two other analogies I want to share. If you walk into your bedroom and it's filled with poisonous snakes, who do you hate, the snakes or the persons who put the poisonous snakes in your bedroom? And second, think about eucalypti. So eucalyptus is a form of vegetation that if you plant it in your garden, it will very likely outcompete the native vegetation. Eucalypti have many wonderful qualities, but they also have many destructive qualities. So every form of life is competing with other forms of life. If you don't regulate eucalyptus, if you aren't careful about where you plant them in temperate environments, they will frequently outcompete the native vegetation. They will suck up enormous amounts of water, and because they're filled with oil, they are very dangerous in fire situations. So every group of people, group of any living things is adapted or not well adapted to its environment, and the degree of its adaptation to its environment can change overnight. So one moment Jews can be in a relatively stable, safe position in Germany, and then that situation can just change overnight. And so it is for every group. You think you may be very well adapted to one particular environment, but the world is constantly changing.
I did not coin the term alt-right. I think I did coin the term alternative right, which Richard Spencer then shortened to alt-right. Although Richard and I were collaborating on Tacky Mag at the time. I was writing for it. He was the editor, and there was a talk that I gave at the Mencken Club, which had absolutely nothing to do with race, and it was not did not necessarily represent the views of what later became the alt-right, in which Richard titled, before he put it onto Tacky Mag, as the alternative right. I think we agreed on that term, but I think the term alt-right was invented later.